Welcome back to the Behind the Print podcast, where we feature industry leaders and uncover the creative minds and their businesses within the world of professional printing. Our mission is to provide you with inspiring, actionable resources that elevate your business projects and accelerate your journey to excellence in profit and in print. Today's episode is Why You Need a Podcast, and joining me here today is the founder of Increase Creative Co., Luke Clayton. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Connor, it is great to be here. Thanks so much for
Absolutely.
inviting me on the show. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having an insightful conversation.
Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for printing with us too. So, if you're ready, let's just dive right in. Sound good?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so as you said in the introduction there, I am the founder of Increase Creative Co. And I've been in business now for over 9 years, so coming up on that decade mark. A little bit about my
Congratulations.
background. Thank you so much. A little bit about my background. I started working for a church actually as their creative media and communications director. Did that for about 4 years and found myself in a place where I realized that I had some transferable skills that didn't necessarily have to be used in just that particular church or organization. So I started my business, and we have offered a broad range of creative services, everything from graphic design to print services to website design, and now, most recently, podcast production. And so, yeah, that's kind of the high points, if you will. And I really love what I do and love working with you guys, by the way. You guys have been, over the years, you meet a lot of vendors, and you guys have just been, I'm not saying this just because it's your podcast. You guys have been the absolute best customer service that you can get from a print vendor. And that is incredibly appreciated because, quite honestly, not all vendors have excellent level of customer service. So I really, really enjoy that about you guys.
Oh, we appreciate you saying that. I'll tell the CSRs. I'm sure they'll be thrilled to hear that.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about your typical clients?
So, having a background in church, most of my clients are churches. In fact, the church that I was working at as a full-time employee, I have maintained as a essentially a client all these years, and I do an incredible amount of print work for them. And so, you guys have really helped me out with that particular client. But I serve really a variety of primarily churches and maybe Christian nonprofit type of organizations. I've served them all across the country, a few international at this point, on and off over the years. Have helped some smaller businesses from time to time, but churches is definitely my consistent type of clientele.
Okay. So you went into a little bit of detail about the services that you provided, but what can you tell me about the problems that you help solve for these organizations?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what I'm finding out, and like I said, in recent, really the past year or two, I've started to lean more into the podcast and production side of things. So just for sake of not talking about 1,000 problems, right? We'll talk about maybe some of the problems that people face when it comes to how a podcast could potentially be that solution, right? I have talked to a lot of, particularly pastors, but leaders in general over the years, or even just individuals who they feel like they have a message to share, right? They say, "Hey, I have, something that I believe in, something that I'm knowledgeable about, something I believe will provide value to others." And a lot of times I hear something like this. Either I tried starting a blog or I tried starting a YouTube channel, or maybe they even tried to kind of start some version of a podcast, but they always run into this wall of, well, it's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of content creation. Creating content, no matter what format, does require work and effort, but it's essential, it's crucial no matter what organization, whatever brand you're in. Content marketing is really so much more, it could arguably be one of the most effective forms of marketing because it builds credibility with your audience, it provides value to them without you being some type of quote unquote sleazy salesman, right?
Mhm.
Like I said, creating and consistently producing that content, that is tough. What I've been able to do is now over these past couple of years, kind of help people see that, look, there are ways. Sure, is it going to take work? Absolutely. But there are actually ways to streamline your workflows and actually produce the content you're looking to create.
Believe me, I get that 100%. I mean, that is literally what I do. And especially when it comes to the podcast, I mean, it makes us more, I feel, personable. We're not just some, you know, mindless corporate conglomerate. Like
Yeah.
we're people. There's people on the other end of this.
Yeah.
Also very well said.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, when you guys said you had a podcast, first of all, I wasn't aware, but when you guys reached out to me, I was like, hey, that makes a lot of sense. Going back to your customer service and what seems to be the culture of the company there is that you guys, it makes a lot of sense that you would have a podcast for a lot of the reasons you just said, so that you could realize that we are a company of people, personable people here to help you. So I think it's a good call for you guys to be going this route.
So your business is already pretty unique, but how do you stand out from other businesses in your field?
Yeah, well, I think again, kind of now taking a step back and talking about the broader range of services that I offer over the years, I say that with this disclaimer. If somebody approached me with advice on starting a business, and some have on and off over the years now that I've been doing it for almost a full decade, I don't advise them to do what I did, right? I don't say, hey, go out there and just like shotgun everything, offer every service in the world. Um, I was young, I was naive, and I didn't know any better. And so, but once that became my my thing, my brand, if you will, of kind of offering a wide variety of creative services, it actually started to work in my favor because the clients that I work with, again, many of them churches, they like having a one-stop shop for everything. So, how that's played into the podcast side of things is now whenever I talk to potential client or leader or whoever I might be helping produce a podcast, I can tell them that, hey, beyond just producing your audio or video content, we can, help you get everything online in terms of all the platforms, sure. But we can also, like, if we're going to upload it to YouTube, or even Spotify now offers this feature, we can we can design a thumbnail for each episode so that you can have that thumbnail, and which again increases your engagement, especially on platforms like YouTube. And then also beyond that, we can make a landing page for your podcast so that, whenever you're promoting, you don't have to say, oh, well, we're on Spotify and Apple and YouTube. You can say, hey, go to my fill in the URL here, and you can actually find all the ways to connect with me in the podcast. And so that has actually become really helpful. And again, kind of helped what I do to stand apart, kind of stand above rather, and set me apart. Because now, in the case of a podcast solution, when I offer a podcasting solution for somebody, I'm telling them, hey, we're a full end-to-end production services, podcast service. So it's a turnkey solution so that you can literally, all you have to do is show up to a virtual production session, much like what we're doing right now. We'll record, capture your content, and we'll discuss a release strategy with you. And your episodes they'll just go live on the internet when we decide they're going to. And so all that to say, that has been kind of what's helped me to, like you said, be set apart, is that, yeah, we offer this full end-to-end production solution that includes just about anything you can think about when it comes to producing and distributing podcast content.
What advice would you give to someone who is new to podcasting?
Yeah, so this is something I probably would tell them a couple things. First of all, don't let the lack of, or what you might feel like is a lack of readiness from maybe a production standpoint, stop you. I feel a lot of people are like, man, I don't have a good microphone. I don't have a good, camera, whatever. Well, first of all, you probably do have a good camera. The phone in your pocket is sufficient, more than sufficient, I should say. We are just in a place now to where, as long as you have a quiet space, you can produce quality video and audio content, because there's so many post-production tools powered by AI and other things like that that really help to enhance your audio. And so all that to say, don't let the what you feel are technical limitations stop you. And then also, I told people, find a co co-host. Find somebody that co-host or a roster of guests, right? Find somebody or a group of people that you can have a conversation with, because much like what's happening right now with us, once you find somebody who you can talk to, all you got to do is press record, and now you have what could potentially be valuable podcast content.
Could not have said that better myself.
Thank you.
Can you tell me about how print has helped elevate your business?
Yeah, so the primary way that I have used print over the years has been to actually provide that option to my clients that I do graphic design work for. And so again, it kind of goes back to that one-stop shop mentality of, we created this artwork for you. Now, sure, you can go and you can, you know, deal with vendors and try to find the best price. Absolutely. If you want, here's the PDF, go do what you want with it. But what's very helpful has been to say, hey, I can actually, once you approve that artwork and tell me how many you want to print, I can just have it show up on your doorstep here in about a week. And that's been really helpful. A way that I've been using it with my podcast clients in particular is, this is actually kind of an experimental thing, but I've kind of made a deal or whatever with one of those that I'm producing a podcast for, to say, hey, I'm gonna ship you some postcards completely free. And on the front side, it's going to advertise your podcast. On the back side, it's going to advertise my business. And so it's kind of a you help me, I help you type of situation. And so we're going to be experimenting with that to see how, because they're actually a singing group, so they're out touring a lot, so they meet a lot of people. So we're going to see if that helps, again, kind of grow their podcast numbers while also giving me some exposure as well. So those are a couple of examples. Like I said, by and large, though, it's just helping clients take whatever we design for them and turn around and give them or be able to rather ship them the printed content in addition to just providing digital artwork.
Okay. Can you tell me about any major milestones that have helped define Increase Creative Co?
Yeah, so over the years, I always like to say, if I were to write a book about how to start a business, run a business, it would just be packed full of all my mistakes, right? It'd be like, here's what's not to here's what you should not do. Avoid these mistakes. So one of the mistakes I made was early on. Really, I had just been in business for not even about a year. I started hiring people, hiring full-time employees. Was not in a place to be able to afford it. So where I found myself around 2019 or so was, I had hired two full-time employees, was not paying them good at all, and didn't have enough profit to pay them and pay myself. So it was a really tough situation. On the other hand, though, I had created or built my business now for these past couple of years on these employees' kind of abilities and what they were providing for me. And so it was a very difficult position, because it's like they were good at what they did, but it was just not financially viable. And so what was my blessing in disguise was COVID and the pandemic. It put me in a true crunch. It put everybody in a crunch, and it gave me an opportunity to meet with these employees amicably, let them go, and reset. Since then, I've changed my mindset completely on, obviously there comes a time in businesses, if they grow large enough, of course you need employees, you need people to help. But I've very much embraced the mindset of subcontractors, of hiring people when I need them. And because that way, when you're done with that project or whatever, you don't need them anymore. And so that was a big turning point for me, was to say the success of your business is not defined by your, by the amount of employees that you have. I don't know why I ever had that concept at all. And then also I would say that obviously profits matter, but the value you bring to people is what matters most. I've heard it said that you focus on helping and bringing value to people, and the money will take care of itself. And that has been really how I've tried to operate my business all these years, especially, these past 5 or 6 years or so.
That was nicely put. And just going back to what you said about COVID, it was the same thing for me, blessing in disguise. I was working two jobs, I had no time off, and then all of a sudden I have all the time off.
Yep.
Wasn't voluntary, but I think for the first when after March of 2020, I think for the first time in 4 months, I had more than one day off a week, and
Wow.
that was nice.
Yeah.
Moving along, what challenges or obstacles are holding your business back right now?
Yeah, so I am in a place right now where I feel a little bit of that's been another thing I've noticed about the rhythms of business over the years, right? I've noticed that there are these milestones, turning points, whatever you want to call them, where you are sensing a moment of transition. For me, it has been historically, I have kind of leaned more into the website, web and graphic design side of things, and I'm certainly not doing away with that. But what's happening is a couple things. First of all, AI is changing the game across the board, right? It's changing the game everywhere. And now with a lot of platforms, I'm thinking websites in particular, but also for graphics, there's these AI web builders, and they're not bad at all. They give you if nothing else, they give you a really decent rough draft to start a website. I can't compete with that. For me to come in and try to say, oh, yeah, but I'm a human, I'm better. Yes, that's true, but I can't compete with the affordability of that. And so I have been learning now over these past few years. First of all, I'm learning AI. I got certified in AI so that I can make the most of it, right? But I'm also learning that I am trying to sell my the human element of my business, if you will, but also at a premium. Like, look, if you're looking for a cheap website, I'm not your guy. If you're looking for a cheap podcast, I'm not your guy. But if you're looking for somebody who you can take the needs of your website or podcast or graphics and just go, hey, I just want to fully delegate this. I don't want to have to worry about it. Then yes, I'm the guy for you. And obviously you're going to pay a premium for those services. So all that to say, to answer the question about the challenges, it's just shifting from, because I work in the church world, no secret, budgets are tight in churches. And so I have over the years offered low packages, low pricing. But now what's happening is I can't tell you how many churches have come to me. They have me build them a website. I do all the work. They do pay me. Then in about a year, they go find that cheap AI platform, and then they just change over to that. And again, there's nothing I can do about that. And I don't say that from a place of like, oh, I'm upset about it. It is just the way of business, right? So it's just shifting and being able to maybe retool my messaging and so forth, and also my mindset of like, hey, I have to set my price, and that is my price. Again, you're certainly going to get what you pay for, and so you pay for a premium because you're getting a truly human experience, like I said, that you can fully delegate your podcast, graphics, website, whatever it is.
So, sort of a different question for you here. If you had a day completely free to spend however you'd like, how would you spend it?
Sounds so cheesy, but I just hang out with my wife and daughters. I mean, that is it. My wife and I were just reminiscing on our honeymoon. We went to Cabo, and it was the first time in a long time that I could recall, and really the only time since that it was like, man, that was just refreshing. And it was because we obviously were in a beautiful, relaxing location, but I was with, the woman I love. And obviously, like I said, my daughters weren't obviously weren't there, but I love them as well. And so yeah, I mean, if I could spend a day, and thankfully, and that is the beauty of building your own business and having the freedom, is I get those opportunities maybe more often than somebody who has a 9 to 5. I don't work weekends, I don't work nights. So, every weekend I get to live that dream. I get to live that ideal day to some degree pretty often. So yeah, again, maybe that's a super cheesy answer, but that's just where I'm at in life right now.
There's nothing cheesy about spending time with wife and the kids.
Yeah.
One last question for you. How can our listeners get in touch with you, learn more, engage your services, collaborate with you on a project? What's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, the absolute best way is just go to my website, increasecreative.co or increasecreative.co. There you'll obviously be able to learn more about my services, but also you can find my scheduling link and you can speak directly to me. So here's what I like to tell people. Again, this is just I guess kind of the ministry minded person that I am because of my experience working with churches and ministries. I really do just want to help you. Yeah, again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're going to be find the most affordable services because again, because of the premium that I'm offering. Obviously, there's a premium cost to it. That said, I will talk to you and help you and tell you where to start at absolutely no charge. So you'll find a place to schedule a conversation with me. So if you're like, hey, I've been wanting to start a podcast or do a website or whatever it may be, I'd love to talk to you there. So again, that's just to head over. You'll find again all about what I do, my scheduling link, increasecreative.co.
Okay. Well, did you have any questions for me?
Well, let me ask you this. Maybe this isn't official or whatever. Maybe it's something I should have asked, but I was curious because again, this is my first exposure to you guys' podcast. How long have you been doing the podcast? I didn't have the opportunity to get to look it up before we got on here.
Me personally, I've been here for about 3 months, but I think before that, before I got here, we've been doing the podcast for maybe a little over a year.
Okay. Okay, very good. Well, again, I cannot recommend you guys' services enough. Again, just the absolute best customer service, and like I said, I that is communicated strongly through just even having a podcast. It shows that you want to connect with people personally, and I love that I can get up, I can pick up my phone, and I can call, and I'm going to get an answer there whenever I have an issue with an order or a question about an order, and I love that. So really appreciate the services that you guys provide.
Well, we appreciate you saying that. Well, I'd say that's a wrap on another episode of Behind the Print. Thank you to our listeners for joining us as we explored the artistry and innovation of the printing world. Remember, having a strong vision, building the right strategy, and using tools like print to amplify your message will make your brand stand out from the crowd. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to get your sample pack today from PrintingCenterUSA.com and share it with your fellow business enthusiasts. Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying, and remember, there's always more to discover behind the print.